And since I want to go into Sandstorm, and all of these units except for Rhino are bad for that, because they're on the ground. Except, of course, the Overlord also, because it's in the air. That was really bad formulating my thoughts and everything on that sentence. Basically, there were the Rhino as an option and the Overlord as an option. The Rhino, I think, is just gonna get killed by Acid Scorpions, let's be honest. So instead, I picked the Overlords and decide to make an air push with Overlords and Wraiths and Phoenixes. Get range on the Overlords and just drop more. My opponent does get Melters with energy absorption. So that is undoubtedly to counter the Worms. Though he's now going for Acid Scorpions and for Melters. Personally, I think it would have been a better option to go for Melters and like put double shot on the Scorpions and add 2 more. Though I guess it's decent into the boats. So maybe it's not bad. The boats would absolutely crush the Scorpions. But the Melters can shoot up. I wish the Scorpion could shoot up sometimes. Can you imagine a Scorpion shooting up, raining down the acid over an even bigger area? That would be insane. So, last time I pushed on this tower, so I'm hoping my opponent might be investing into more for this side than for this side. So now I'm choosing to go there. And instead of going through the middle, I decide to kind of come in from the same angle. More or less. Crawlers are covering the approach of the air units and the steel, the steel worm, the sandworms. One sandworm instantly got locked. The other sandworm is also dead. There still is some chaff units under my units here. The push definitely wasn't successful. Phoenixes get destroyed. They are outranged by the Overlords. Overlord is, yeah, it's doing good damage on this melting point. But the tower debuff saves it. Highly unfortunate. Can I at least kill that? Yeah, I can. Marksman kills the Overlord. There is nothing really left for me. And I lose the round, and it's not even by a little bit. I go down to less than the HP a Melter will take off me. So if at the end of the next round, just 1 Melter survives, it's still game. It's a scary point because it's not hard for a Melter to stay alive. So far the strategy has not really worked out. My opponent is going for Electromagnetic Barrage. I'm not even sure why, because none of my units on the ground have techs. I decide to stonk a little more with the Overlords. And I'm thinking about what to do here. My opponent apparently is thinking about what to do as well. He decides to throw down shields. But I land an amount of acid in between. And it's time to hit the Sandstorm. And just drop more Overlords. If I can overwhelm the Melters. And Ground Cannon might help with it. Even though Ground Cannon and range don't really synergize well. Maybe I've been thinking about maybe exchanging Overlord Artillery for Launcher Overload. But I haven't yet really decided. I didn't change it yet, I think. I do buy out and get the temporary buffs. It's time to go all in. I come in from an even steeper angle. Is that correct? An even more vertical push with these additional units here. Maybe if I play this again, I drop my units further to the rear. So that they come in at the same time with this push here. Or at least closer to the same time. We have additional melting points, and they have, as mentioned before, they have EMP missiles. This is not fortresses with anti-air barrage. Now the Sandstorm hits, and it started to affect units. A Melter here is moving forward. That Melter is also moving forward. It's in range of the Sandstorm. Same, I think, on this side. Well, that Melter is all outside, and that Melter as well. So this side fell flat, but that is also the side that I didn't reinforce. Overlord Artillery helping to deal with the Melters. This level 2 Overlord definitely can do a lot of damage, but it's stuck on chaff. That said, this side got absolutely overwhelmed. Overlords trying to do their best. Shooting the melter. It doesn't have range, I think. Yeah, it has no range. It dies, and that is very important because, as mentioned before, if just one of these melters survives, it's game over. Instead, one of the overlords survives. Round number 9. Nothing particularly amazing offered here. I do take the missile strike. There's probably some things that I can delete. Like I can remove a shield on a shield layer. Well, a shield layer. They only have one shield layer. I can remove the shield layer on these fangs. It costs me $50, so basically it's the same as if I threw a missile. Only that if for whatever reason this game is going to continue, I might get that missile again. Plus I can missile anywhere on the map. I do decide, because I think chaff clear was the problem last time, to throw down some additional waves. Those should help with the chaff clear. The melters finally got range. Marksmen are still pretty big and scary. And I decide to throw my weight onto the left side of the tower again. My opponent did just drop even more melters. We're up to 6 melters. And it's usually the point where all of it starts absolutely failing, because melters are too powerful and you start losing. I know what I'm talking about because I just played a tournament game like that. I should have saved the replay. It was very close, but I lost it in the end. It's just that melters are super powerful. Well, in any case, Sandstorm once again hit not all of these melters, but an amount of them. That side gets completely crushed. Well, does it? Sandstorm is still around, and these melters are gonna have to move in range. That side won against my opponent. Melter dies. Tower debuff comes in. This hero overlord gets to live a tiny bit longer. The last Wraith is targeted. I still have some chaff on the ground, and that is honestly helping me and saving me here. One overlord locked by the melt. Oh no, that must have been something else. Now, this looks like a lock. Yeah, this is a lock. This is a lock. But the hero Sandworm unburrows and saves it all. I think the melters might have been enough to kill this with their heal. On these overlords, I think they could have survived, but the Sandworm unburrows and saves the round for me. It is round number 10. Unit drops. If any round's gonna decide it, it's probably gonna be this round. Even the arc lights are probably worth a thought. With range, they can do some serious damage, but at the same time, against this chaff, not really. What I need is Falcons. My opponent decides to drop some fortresses. They are good against the worms, because they can basically just, in a melee fight, win against them. I decide to continue stonking. This overlord is level 4. It has an artillery that deals 44,000 damage. And it is triple tagged. Wasp Swarm came out. Now, since my opponent has this insane amount of shielded fangs, I decide to drop some Vulcans. My opponent decided to drop more anti-air fortresses. But is there that much to anti-air? I mean, I guess it's a bunch of clumped up air units. Maybe it's fine. One of these Vulcans is late, so it can throw its oil around even when everything else has already died, and hopefully win the chaff war for us. Push is going to the left again. It's always the 50-50, and my opponent does not know which side to actually reinforce, which is why he's still building very balanced and symmetrical, despite being pushed all the time. The Wraiths also now have the 8-shot upgrade. One missile here, one missile here. I think those are from my opponent. An amount of wasps get killed, but that's probably not what he was hoping for. Yeah, the fortresses get eviscerated. Among other things by this level 4 overlord. The wraiths get eviscerated. Fire has landed. Sandworms have done their deed as well. Which is why all of these melters are sitting at a very close point compared to where they would be normally. I take the tower. Fort goes down. Last melter gets completely blasted. And it's game. Well, I am not sure. I think I would hazard the guess that I am not the first one to do this kind of push. And I have tried to replicate it, and I've lost every single time. I don't know why. Maybe you need to luck into this build. Maybe the opponent needs to not kill you quickly enough. I think in the end game, it can start looking pretty freaking oppressive if you have the worms moving in and the opponent's smelters just get overwhelmed by mass overlords with artillery or with launcher overload and with range. I think this build has potential. Maybe it is the first build that I actually invented for myself. There is a question, and I think the answer is probably no, as to whether I've invented it first. But at the same time, this sort of setup in the middle, having this pack of mobile beaconable units, reinforcing the push on one of these towers and the opponent just never knowing where it's going to go, not from aggro, but just plain from good old standard. Maybe that is a world first. I don't know. Tell me if you've played that, so I can probably give you credit for inventing that build. I did watch some videos of people pushing with worms when the worm was new, and they figured out pretty quickly that you want to use it and do it with air units. So that's what I did here. But at the same time, I think this was a really cool game, a really cool strategy, and I hope that I can pull this off and like add this build into my regular build list, sort of. So, thank you, everybody, for watching and listening, and I hope to see you next time as well. And I'm going to bed now, relatively soon.